News. Alex is back tomorrow, but you've got this breaking news. You've got to get it out there right now. Alex, what is developing right now with the Tommy Robinson case?
I was not even intending to probably come on air today because we're about to fly back to Austin, obviously for the 34-hour broadcast tomorrow on the Inspector General report and so much more. We're going to have wide open phones throughout that transmission, a bunch of special guests, just a war game where we currently are. And I got this news about 45 minutes ago from Kalen Robertson, who is basically Tommy's manager. And he told me not to go public with it until he comes on. And then he basically, in the last 15 minutes, got back on the phone with the family and the lawyer. But Tommy only speaks through Kalen. His wife is completely private because of the death threats and the Islamists stalking him and putting a fatwa or a contract out on the family. But I have not talked to Kalen in about 15 minutes. The lawyers are telling him not to go on air, but he talked to Tommy today, and Tommy said, I don't care what the lawyer says or what anybody says, you go on air. And before Tommy, we were looking at opening an Infowars office with him just in the next few months. Before this whole thing happened, he told me if anything happens to me, Kalen's who you talk to. So that is directly from Tommy, and Kalen is really shook up right now. I'm not at liberty to tell you what's happened in the prison or the other information, but let's just say this. He has been sentenced to death. He has been sentenced to death, and they have already come after him. And they have basically let him know, you demonstrated, you had your other demonstrations, you had your event on the 9th. Maybe we should play that Katie Hopkins video that we played yesterday, but we should cue that up right now. And so you are a dead man. And I have to stop right there. Let me see what I've been authorized to say so far. Okay, I just missed a call from him. Do this. Oh, you guys, you have the video from yesterday, right? The Katie Hopkins video, free Tommy Robinson. Okay, go ahead and roll that. I got to call him back right now because this is all fluid. We're going to go ahead and roll that video with audio. Start over from the beginning, please. Then I'll be right back. Stay with us. Owen, we have talked to Kalen Robertson just a little while ago, and we're going to be airing that interview here coming up at the start of the next hour. And I'm also going to duck back in during the next break and talk to him some more. Since Watson tweeted this out, which I asked him to do to announce that Tommy Robinson has basically been given a death sentence, the lawyers called up and said, do not cover this, do not talk about this. And in all fairness, the lawyers, especially in the UK, I mean, they're just officers of the court. And I'm sure they think they have Tommy's best interest at heart, but I want to be very clear. Tommy Robinson has said directly to Kalen, who is his spokesperson, I don't care what the lawyers say. Tell people this information. But I'm going to wait till Kalen comes on at the start of the next segment to tell you this. But here's the bottom line. He's being moved from a medium security prison to Leicester that is high security, almost maximum security. It's got murderers, child molesters, killers. It's 73% Muslim. And already the word has gone out that there's a hit on Tommy, a fatwa. And we could all be in this position now, folks. This is so dangerous. This is so evil. And they were beating on the walls last night because the word has gone out that he's being shipped out to a Muslim high-security prison to be executed. That's how the left does it in their leftist jails. They always get rid of the death penalty, but they kill you in the prisons. So this is a dark day. Remember, the federal system and the federal borders and the federal police in the UK are run by Muslims, all the chief positions. This is how the takeover has also happened in Sweden and Germany. And the head of the Border Patrol is a Muslim. The head of the Home Office is a Muslim. The mayor of London is a Muslim. doesn't let them have images of women in swimsuits now on billboards in the city. It is Sharia law. Every major city has been caught with Islamists running child grooming gangs for the pedophile elite of England. This isn't all Muslims. This is the elite globalist Muslims that fit into this whole thing. And it's very, very sick. And so Tommy, the media is like, the controlled media, first they denoticed it. First they said, don't report on him being arrested. Then they said, don't report on the protests that happened a few weeks ago that were historic. And then now the talking point is, well, he knew the order, he violated it. Oh, really? Not to even say there's a trial on pedophilia going on, in mass pedophilia. That's not involving yourself in a trial. Judges can't do that anywhere in the world. And we've had legal scholars on. This is absolutely a power grab. But what about a death sentence? What about being sent to a maximum security or high security prison, 73% Muslim? Does he deserve to die? So you see the Stockholm Syndrome is going to get worse and worse to the point of the people in the government cult following orders from their Islamicist masters know that Tommy will just get bigger out of prison. So they're like, well, let's go ahead and kill him now so that we can just get him out of the way and send a message to everybody. Sadiq Khan and others think that a death sentence to this Briton, to the guy that would slay the dragon, this little Georgie, they think that that will break everybody's will, just like Hitler bombing London during the Blitz. They had like 80-something%, 70-something%, depending on the polls, of Brits against a new war. The Brits lost a couple million people in World War I. And so you count the Scots, everybody else, the Irish fought in it, a couple million people, and they didn't want a war. But then Hitler started bombing civilian targets, and it went 90+% for the war. And so it's this mental illness of globalists, Islamicists, tyrants, control freaks that they think the threatening us, they think the suing us, they think the death threatening, they think all of this intimidates us. No, it just gets us in fighting mode. But if you just joined us, Tommy Robinson, I just got the news about an hour ago. We're going to be detailing all of this for you in the next hour because Tommy Robinson told me Kalen Robertson is my spokesperson. They've been working together for about a year and a half. He's my camera guy, webmaster, everything. And there's the headline: UK Sharia compliant government just gave Tommy Robinson a death sentence. And he's now put a statement out. We're going to post that in full on Infowars.com. Headline: Tommy Robinson to be moved to high security 73% Muslim prison as a death sentence to punish him for demonstrations. And he's been told through the system, you stop the demonstrations, everybody stand down, you go away, you don't protest, and we might leave you in a medium security prison. If you don't, you're going to be shipped off to a high security, close to max. It's not they don't have super max in England, and they've got one level above it where people are in solitary confinement all the time. But this is a prison where you're in solitary confinement 23 hours out of the day, and in that 1 hour you get out, you get shanked in the showers. 73% Muslim. He's been put in prison for a year before for exposing all this, been beaten up, been attacked in the infirmary, had them try to throw acid on him, bleach bombs. And they were beating on the walls last night, even though the prison he's in is only about a third Muslim, saying, we're going to kill you. You're going to die. In fact, let's put Kalen's statement up that he just put out. Again, he's just going ahead with what Tommy asked him to do, and we'll have a video statement coming up. Can we put that on the screen for me, please? And I will read this to radio listeners, TV viewers. We're posting it right now to Infowars.com. Paul Watson is also doing a report. Again, I am on the road, so I'm just going to ask the crew. They just put Kalen's statement up, please. You put the death sentence statement back up. It was an article you had. It was about a minute and a half ago. There's Paul Watson's breaking. Tommy Robinson has reportedly been moved to a prison with 71% Muslim population. Inmates were banging on cell walls last night, shouting death threats. Protests were ignored. Tommy now fears for his safety. And that's the statement I got from Tommy, but it's a little bit more sophisticated than that. The protests haven't been ignored. Hey, guys, just a couple months ago, you showed an article by Kalen. That's what I want to see back up. And it talked about the Sharia thing and him being shipped to the prison. So that was the statement I wanted you to put back up on screen, please. Anyways, You know, this is the type of garbage that's going on all over the country. This is the type of stuff that's going on all over the world. This is what the left's doing. And again, that's from a few weeks ago when he pointed out that it'd probably be a death sentence. Yes, so that's not a new statement. Okay, UK Sharia-compliant government just gave Tommy Robinson a death sentence. I thought maybe he'd put a statement out because he gave us the exclusive statement, and I thought maybe he was just bombs away. But as of now, all we've got is a statement he gave me earlier when I interviewed him earlier. So he's going to be coming, we're going to be airing that coming up at the start of the next hour here in just a few minutes. I'm almost speechless at this point. There's Jihad Watch, arrested, tried, and sentenced within an hour. Tommy Robinson gets 13 months for live streaming outside courthouse. And again, the Islamicists for grooming and raping little girls will just get a few months in jail. And then they say, well, you shouldn't have covered the trial. He didn't even cover the trial. He wasn't inside the trial. He just said they're having grooming gang trials, which the BBC even reported, but then was given a D notice and took down. Yeah, there it is. Grooming gangs have used more than 700 women and girls around Newcastle after police appeared to punish victims. There's mainstream news. What's that, the Telegraph? The Independent? So Tommy's simply reporting what's in the news. They don't want it magnified, so they threw him in prison for 13 months. But he's a stalwart, he's a stoic, he's a real patriot. The Rotherham grooming gang survivor. I want people to know about the religious extremism which inspired my abusers. Grooming gangs are not like pedophile rings. Instead, they operate almost exactly like criminal networks with all the same strategies. Scroll up, I can't read that part. Yeah, like terrorist networks. Well, that's a big part of barbarous areas of Islam. North Africa, other areas is the old harems, the sex slaves, Saudi Arabia. That's why Islam badly needs this reformation. So this is all coming up. There's another mainstream article. Britain's grooming gang crisis. Tommy Robinson was the man 11 years ago next to his tanning salon. He was just 20-something years old, 23 years old, had a family, everything. Saw them running, girls as young as 9, crying for mommy into cars with Muslim men delivering them to Brits and others. It's not just Muslim men, it's Brits doing this and others. And so he started calling the police. They wouldn't do anything. So he started fighting back, started beating the people up. They put him in jail. They said, you're not going to stand up for kidnapped kids. You will die. And now they're saying, we're going to send you to a high security 70+% Muslim prison where you're going to die. All right, it's coming up in the next hour. So the live links, local radio stations, TV stations, tell everybody tune in. They don't want this to be a big deal. We need to make it a big deal for Tommy. We're trying to shut down all these platforms so we don't have a voice.
All right, Alex Jones is back with us now, and he's just gotten some of the details hammered out on what's going on with Tommy Robinson, speaking to his manager, Kaylin Robinson. Alex Jones joins us back from the road. Alex, what's the latest?
Well, I want to be clear. Kaylin was going to come on live with us when he learned more. He talked to Tommy. I ended up this morning saying, because I know Kaylin gets busy, I said, hey, let's tape an interview. And right when he talked to Tommy, because he was telling me, Tommy says, I don't care what the lawyers say, you go on air. I'm at the prison. They said they're going to murder me tonight. And he said he was the scaredest he ever was. So I'm sitting there writing all these notes. I then say, listen, we need to just tape this. So we taped it. And he said, no, I'll come on. Sure enough, can't come on now. Being threatened, you name it. I mean, the UK is under a blanket of tyranny in our curtain. Well, guess what? We got the tape. And I called Kaylin up, and he said, well, since you've already got it taped, I can't stop you. But he said, can you just get it aired quick? Because he said, man, they are on his ass. So that is the circus I've been going through the last 2+ hours. But it's nothing compared to what Tommy's going through. We are going to air this in the second and third segment of the next hour. So we're talking like 15, 20 minutes away. We're going to air this. I have been trying to get the interview sent to you guys because I'm literally leaving the Central Pacific right now, packing up and so going. That's why I'm a little bit cattywampus here. I apologize. So that is all coming. So you are getting the interview sent to you. I see it right here on the screen. It's being sent to you right now, so it won't be all dolled up like the fancy studio or anything. But it is unbelievable, okay? I'm just going to leave it to you. People know I don't do cliffhangers like other talk shows, like, oh, coming up, you know, coming up. people know I just tell you up front what's going on. This is so insane. And then at the front of the interview that I taped earlier today, Kalen wouldn't get into a bunch of the stuff that he told me off air. Then he went ahead and got into all of it. And he said he's never seen Tommy this scared. And he's scared because he's worried about his family and the country. And he can't believe the government told him, we don't like you here. You're a dead man. And he said, excuse me, when they brought him into the prison. And they put him in the central area, 70+% Muslim. And they laughed at him and they said, goodbye. They basically told him you're a dead man. And it's psychological warfare because they had 30,000 people show up in the streets of London on the 9th. The prime minister can't do that. And they basically are saying, you shut up, you call the people off, or you're a dead man. And so they've now put him in queue at the gallows. So Tommy Robinson is now handcuffed, being walked to the gallows pole. In fact, next segment, let's come in with Iron Maiden. Hallowed be thy name. I'm waiting in my cold cell when the bell begins to chime, reflecting on my past life because there isn't much time. Because at 5 o'clock, they take me to the gallows pole. The sands of time for me are running low, running low, running low. And I just, the manliness of this. First to expose the grooming gangs, so they were right next to a kebab shop to his tanning salon. He's 23, already married. He's got multiple kids now. He sees them running little crying girls into men's cars. He calls the police. They come and harass him. He finds out CPS is working with him to take kids. He starts beating these people's asses to save the kids. Who wouldn't do that? Well, turns out today that's really rare. Cops aren't going to do something. Tommy's like, 5'7". He squares up, beats these guys' ass. Start throwing him in prison. Look at his mortgage forms. Oh, looks like said you made 5,000 pounds more than you did. We're going to take your house, put you in prison for a year, let Muslims beat you and attack you. On and on and on. 11 years later, all their rape gangs are exposed everywhere. They're going down, and they're pissed, and they're panicking, and they're so crazy. They think if they can murder Tommy, that'll make us all crawl in our hole scared of them. You go ahead, Hitler, bomb London, and see you get your ass handed to you. Let's do it. Target civilians. See what happens, scum.
They take me to the gallows pole.
But it won't be as easy for Tommy Robinson with a pack of Muslims stabbing and kicking and biting him and chirping. Crank it up. No, they'll take their time killing him. They'll take their time having victory over the West, brought in by traitors, brought in by Satanists, hell-bent on bringing down the republics. Yes, the sands of time are running low. Running low for Tommy, for everybody else in this world. So choose what side you're on. So right as Trump comes in and the nationalists come in like the cavalry at our most desperate moment, those who have been champions of liberty, those who were the igniters of the rebellions, those who don't have presidential protection like the president, Robinson facing a near death sentence in the next few days, the next few hours. They've put him in the main wing, general population, open cell, high security, 71% Muslim prison. He was brought in last night and they beat the walls and they said, when they open those doors tomorrow, you are dead. And Robinson got his 1-minute phone call that he gets every 2 days, and he called Kalen and he said, I don't care what those lawyers say. You get out there and you say they told me I'm a dead man when I got here. And by the way, I was told even more. The lawyers are threatening everybody and just say, oh, don't do it. They'll be nice if you stop. We're going to get him in a better prison. We don't know why they moved him from a low security to a high security for being a reporter. We've got a political dissident being put in a high security, mainly Muslim prison run by them. The asylums, the prisons are run by the inmates. And they're beating the wall saying, we're going to kill you tomorrow. We're going to kill you. And it's tomorrow. We don't even know. He talked to him about 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago. And we're live right now. He was going to come on with us live earlier in the hour. By then he said, no, the lawyers are freaking out. My God, Tommy told me to do it, and I told you, but now they're totally freaking out, and the family's freaking out. And I said, well, luckily, I said, let's tape something. And he goes, it's up to you. He said, it's what Tommy wants. And I said, I'm doing what Tommy asked. People can get on the fence about this all day. Is it the right thing to do? I already told you before I knew the lawyers got involved and told him not to go on air. I predicted that would happen. It's not hard to predict. And now the cat's already out of the bag. So have you guys gotten that upload? Do you guys have the interview now there at the ATX in Austin? You guys don't you guys don't have the segments yet. Okay, well, it says it uploaded, and it's just a 20-minute interview. It's taped. It's just chop it in half, and I made some mess ups in the middle and said the website wrong, so I have teleprompter free. So towards the end, there's like 2 minutes of mess ups, and my Skype cut out on it. So it's probably about 16 minutes. So just, you know what, air it with the mess ups. Who cares? Just, we have to get this on air while we're still on air. Air it raw. I don't care. Just air the damn thing. So they've gotten the upload, folks. They told me in their ear that it's 20 minutes long and it's mess ups in it. They got to chop it up, but I don't care. We got to get it out on air. I hate doing stuff taped. So magically I mess up when it's taped. I don't mess up that much when it's live. Oh my God, it's just incredible that we are in this position, and tens of thousands of people demonstrated on the night. Katie Hopkins covered it. We played the video earlier, and now we're here, and this could be any of us, and this is their plan for me. This is their plan for you. If Hillary would have gotten in, they've got all these George Soros groups suing us, trying to shut us down. This is a war. And the good news is people are awake. Trump's doing a great job. Things are turning around on so many fronts. But the general public thinks, oh, things are better. Trump's in. No, the real war is raging now. We haven't won this by a long shot. You know, oh, and you first were a sports reporter. I know you got a psychology degree as well. But I mean, what's the sports analogy here? I'd say it's halftime. And what, we got a field goal right before halftime, so we're 3 points ahead. But they're coming out of that bunker, man, right now. And this is, we got 2 more quarters to play here. And if we think we're winning the game because we got 1 field goal up on the board against them, we're going to lose our ass. I mean, is that a good allegory here?
Well, I think the best analogy would just be to say, we now have the ball. When we got Trump elected, we now intercepted the football, and we can now move the football upfield. But if we're not attempting to move the football upfield, then we're just stagnating, and we're going to eventually punt when Trump no longer is in office and they bring in, God forbid, another radical globalist. So right now we have the ball, and it's about completing passes, you know, having the right blocking scheme, moving the ball upfield so that we can spike it and get a touchdown. It's about having will.
These are pedophile, Islamic, New World Order, satanic globalists, hell-bent on enslaving us, and we have to stop putting up with their crap. We have to get pissed and hate them.
Well,
we
Alex,
have to know they're the enemy and stop buying their crap and absolutely get motivated.
Well, let me just say this.
Oh, why are you acting like this? This is only for sports. Sports is a facsimile of normal human activity. I am motivated for my family. I care about Tommy. I'm friends with Tommy. We were going to launch Infowars Europe with Tommy. They're about to kill him. I care about him. This isn't a movie. This is a real person. Excuse me. Just, God, it pisses me off, Owen.
Well, now you know.
Another Netflix movie, man. This is a real guy with kids standing up and exposing pedophiles, proven to be accurate and good, now facing murder by a bunch of cowardly Islamists, asswipes, and their little nightgowns.
That's why they don't want this news out there, Alex. They're trying, God forbid, if Tommy Robinson die in this jail, they don't want the narrative already out there that it was radical Islam.
Are. And they love it. What do you think about the blind spot of tyrants, where they always think we're cowards and they mess with us and mess with us and mess with us? Don't they get that's not winning?
Well, this is happening in the UK, so this is their battle. But let me just say this. If something like this happened to one of the leaders of the Patriot movement here in America and they sentenced somebody to a death sentence via jail cell or the prison they put them in, that's an act of war to me. To me, if I'm in the UK and you see what they're doing to Tommy Robinson, that's an act of war to me. That is the government bringing down an act of war to their people.
Oh, and you are an absolute godsend. When I was marching in here and then taping the interview earlier with Kaylin Robertson, I was going to come on air and say, this is an act of war. The Islamic invasion is an act of war. The globalists are waging war on our economy. It is. CNN is waging war on the truth. Absolutely. This is an act of war. Exactly. A journalist, a patriot, a hero facing murder, moving him to a Muslim prison so he gets killed because he dare report on giant child kidnapping rings. My God. The man deserves a freaking medal. He deserves to be carried on people's shoulders, but instead he's there facing certain death, and we're not hyping that. Let me tell you, Tommy's not a guy, but people seen him, he's not a wimp. You see him stand up to, the North Africans, and all the rest of it, in the no-go zones. And he was scared when I talked to Caleb. He said, man, they're coming to my cell. The guards tell me I'm done, laughing at me. They're going to murder him. They're going to murder him in front of us. And what does it say they think about us, Owen, that they can piss all over us like this? What the hell do they think they're doing? They're crazy.
Well, I'm curious, what happens to the 30,000 peaceful protesters in the streets if they do kill Tommy Robinson? What happens then? I don't think they're going to be so peaceful anymore, Alex. They're going to realize that this is an act of war against their country, against their heritage, and something's going to give. Something has to give here.
Maybe they want to start a civil war because Brexit, they just voted to continue Brexit. Don't they get that's a civil war they'll lose? It's like a mouse starting to fight with a juggernaut. That's what is it about globalists that think because we were asleep, we were intimidated by them, but now we're awake and they think all the threats, it does not intimidate us.
Well, they're hoping
to take on 20 of these people.
They're hoping that the narrative that Tommy Robinson is in a mostly occupied by Muslim prison doesn't get out there. That's their hope, because that's the narrative they have to control.
And I totally agree. What about them taking down the video? Well, in fact, we have it. I meant to ask you guys when I talked to them, they took down the video off their channel that had millions of views. Tommy Robinson, I won't be here much longer. Find a mirror, or I think we have it saved. They took that down today. They're even getting him ready for execution. You're so right, Owen. Please continue. I'm sorry.
This is what they're doing. They have to control the narrative so that the general public doesn't know that he got put into a prison that's made up with mostly Muslim inmates. So then, God forbid, if Tommy Robinson dies, they can't have the narrative that he got killed by radical Islamists in the cell, which would then lead to the bigger war and the truth being exposed, how the government has now kowtowed to radical Islam running the country. That's the narrative they don't want to happen.
It's putting Muslims, radical Muslims, they're killing other Muslims, all in power, like Sadiq Khan, leftist Muslims. And that's key, what you just said, because they don't want this information out. And people don't know, the Muslims kill people that even protest mosque or put a piece of bacon on the ground. This is well known that they send you to Muslim prisons to be executed. So Muslims are the executioners in the UK. Radical Wahhabists are the executioners of non-radical Muslims, Christians, you name it. So Tommy's being sent to be executed by Muslims. I cannot think of a time that I've been more upset. We have Tommy Robinson spokesperson, Kaylin Robertson, on with us. He just spoke to Tommy today. We are taping this right now while Owen is live on air, and we're going to air this later in the broadcast. I think the best thing I can do is just go right to Kaylin to tell you what's happened. But Tommy has been given a death sentence. Here it is. Kaylin, thank you for joining us here. Obviously, we're all rooting for you and Tommy reporting on the Islamic rape gangs, everything else that's happening. Seeing him as a political prisoner, and now the new news you told me just a few minutes ago on the phone shook me to my core. So please relay to the viewing and listening audience what happened.
Yeah, I'll let you know now. I don't have too long. I just have to pass on this information. So I spoke to Tommy within the hour. He was relaying this information. So we've just found out that he's actually been moved from the prison he was at to the new one where he's just been put within the last 48 hours. Where he was before was relatively safe. It had a very low Muslim population. He was in a specific ward that was safe. He was actually okay. We've just brought in a new legal team who's taking over the case, who's doing a really good job, and he's just been moved to a really actually unsafe place. As soon as he arrived at the entrance, someone told him or muttered to him that it was full of people here who didn't like him, which was really, really worrying. He was put onto the main wing, which is the central main sort of core of the prison, which is not a safe department. It's not a place in solitary. It's not a hospital wing. It's the main open season part of the prison, and that's where he's been put. We found the statistics of the prison. It's around 71% Muslim. Really, really, really disastrous. The last one was like close to 2%. And as soon as he arrived, he looked around and he could see people shouting, being really, really quite terrifying. He went to his cell and he said that all night people were shouting, banging on the cell doors, screaming death threats. He was really actually quite terrified about it. And he's just been relaying this information over in the last hour. So I don't have too much more to push from there, but we also had there's been a hit from an imam on him directly, which has been in the last 24 hours. I can't confirm if the imam is in that specific prison or if it's in one nearby, but that's something that happened to him last time he was in prison. So he's been basically put from what is a really moderate situation to a really, really, really highly hostile situation. He's a much higher target now than he was when he was previously in prison because of publicity and because of, the rise of Islam. And it's basically gone into an extremely dangerous situation. He's really, really worried. Everyone's really worried. He wanted me to pass this out to you, to the public. He wanted everybody to know this. This is just passing it on directly from him. And that's all I can say about it.
Kaylin, this is surreal, like something out of a fiction novel or something of the old Soviet Union, where it's known that a lot of people get killed in the prisons by Muslims. The guy that put a piece of bacon outside the mosque, as you know, got stabbed to death. They've said they're going to kill him in prison, and then now to take him, a nonviolent offender, for reporting that there was a trial of Muslim rape gangs, other media reported it as well, to give him 13 months in jail, and then now to move him to a higher security prison. I know the lawyers don't want us to, obviously say the name of that, and that we've got all of this unfolding, and that he arrives at the new prison, and they're basically chanting in general population in a place with murderers and rapists and all sorts of horrible people. This is like the old biblical thing where they throw you to the lions. I mean, this is like taking somebody and cutting their legs up and throwing them into piranha-infested waters in the Amazon Delta, River Delta. I mean, this is insane. As a good personal friend of his, I know, the guy he really trusts, I know you can't get much of the family, but how are you taking it? How is the family taking it? A, and B, why would they be taking a nonviolent political prisoner and throwing them into a 71% high-security, general population Muslim prison?
Well, A, we're really, really, really worried about it. It's the most devastating news possible. Things actually seem to be going okay. Looked like we'd be able to get him out early. Looked like we'd be able to actually have success with the case, and he was safe. He was feeling positive because of the protests, and it's just turned everything upside down for us. Obviously, it's terrifying. It's really, really the worst thing. I've worked with Tommy almost every day for the last 15 months, and it's really, it's a massively personal thing. It's terrifying. It's really horrible. Everybody who knows him and who knows his information now is equally as upset and disturbed by it. And yeah, so that's just what we're dealing with at the moment. What was your second question?
Why would they do this? Why would they want to make him a martyr when there's a very good chance he will be killed or physically harmed?
Well, I mean, it's to get rid of him. I think the protests have been heating up. We've had people climbing over the gates of Downing Street. We've had tens of thousands, 30,000 people the other day rioting and going nuts in the street because of him. And I believe they want to get rid of him. They don't want this to happen anymore. Oh, in the last hour, YouTube, I've just received a notification on my phone about 25 minutes ago saying that they've removed his video on YouTube that says, "I won't be around for much."
Some other things that he said to you, and I don't want to be at liberty here with the things I wrote down when we talked earlier. And again, we're taping this, can air it as soon as possible on the syndicated broadcast. But I mean, can you tell us about his voice? I mean, because he's not a fearful guy. He'll take on 8, 9 guys bigger than him. He's not a big guy, but his heart's huge, and he'll fight back and kick their butt. He's got the heart of a lion here, obviously. Can you tell folks what the other stuff you told me?
Well, very briefly. I mean, the only thing I can say about it is this is sort of, after knowing him for so long and being in really hostile environments, being in no-go zones and things like that, the most extreme things, this would be the most worried and nervous that I've ever seen with him, ever. So it's something that's, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that sort of explains it.
Well, I know what's going through his head. He's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about his children. He's thinking about his wife. He's thinking about the fall of the UK. And he's just, I guarantee you, he's in there thinking. So imagine you're a pro-nationalist, pro-freedom guy. You see little kids being sold into sex slavery. You speak out 11 years ago. You get put in prison for it. It all comes out to be true. They put you back in prison for it. Then they transfer you for reporting on Islamic rape gang trials to a high-security prison, 71% Muslim. They tell you you're dead when you get there. They're chanting they're going to kill you. You then talk to your manager, He comes on, the lawyers say don't do it, all that happens. I taped that here from my hotel room. That's why I guess I sent him a bad file with a glitch earlier. That's my fault. This is all on the fly here. But I think we've got time in this segment to finish up the interview with his manager, Kaylin Robertson, right now. So this is really critical information. We're going to upload the video right now to Infowars.com, to Newswars.com. YouTube is censoring Tommy Robinson videos. We've now learned they're not just deleting his final statement of he's killed video ahead of him being killed, which is very cryptic today. They're deleting other videos of his that are viral with millions of views. They are erasing him before they kill him. This is happening. So again, here is the rest of the important interview that they don't want you to hear. Please, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere, local radio, TV, get this out. They want to quietly have him fade away and be killed. They knew that they're shipping a nonviolent political prisoner, a journalist prisoner, like we're China, to a high security Muslim 71% Muslim prison where they send political dissidents to be killed by the Muslims. That's how you're executed in Europe and the UK. So he's facing certain execution, folks. You can't hype this up. And he just said, say bye to my wife, bye to my kids. A lot of stuff I can't tell you, he said, but they told him, we're going to kill you. And they're chanting and banging the walls, we're going to murder you. And they've got him in general population. Hell, he could be dead right now. So here it is. So he's thinking about his children. He's thinking about his wife. He's thinking about the fall of the UK. And he's just, I guarantee you, he's in there thinking, my God, it's worse than I thought. My own government's been captured. They put me in the middle of an Islamic high security prison with them chanting, we're going to kill you, 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 we're going to kill you tonight. That's what you told me, he said. And you told me some other things he said. And I know, just as we talked 20 minutes ago before we taped this, that Tommy's told you that he wants you to go on air. So you've done what Tommy asked you to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of advice against it. There's a lot of things up against us right now, but and things for us and things for and against the right reasons. But against all of that, he wanted this information to come out personally, and that's why we did it. That's why we said against the advice, against that stuff. It's what he wants to do. That's it. He wants everybody to know what situation he's in. He wants everyone to know that if something happens to him, at least everyone knows the truth. That's at his core about what he's always been about. At least people know what's happening, and that's what he asked for.
Well, Kaylin, I've interviewed you many times, watched your amazing work, taking Tommy to the next level with your production, your skill, your courage, you and Miss Brown, everybody else. But I want to just say this. I don't know your background, your religious beliefs, but there are no atheists in foxholes, and I think we should really pray for discernment, pray for Tommy Robinson's safety, for your safety, for his family's safety, for Lucy Brown's safety, and for the awakening to continue and put a hedge of protection up around Tommy. But Tommy has chosen, he said this, to die if he has to, and the fact that they took his video down that I think we have saved at the office. So let's try to, later when I'm live again, I'm going to play that message, probably tag it on the end of this tape thing we're doing when we air this live later. That powerful message of I won't be around much longer. Wow, the day they put him into a high security prison, 71% Muslim, and they're saying we're going to kill you, and the guards tell him you're not liked here. We don't like you. I don't like you either. I have the death sentence on 12 systems. Here, let me get you something. No, you'll be dead. I mean, that's what this is, and this is the arrogance of the despots to think that they can basically put him in there to be stabbed or killed or acid attacked in these prisons where, I mean, maybe, I know you've got to go because you said you got the family and lawyers all calling you up to get off as soon as you just learned this 30 minutes ago or whatever. But can you speak to just the history so I don't get it wrong? There's so much of what he went through in prison, what's already happened to him.
Well, he's been put into a room directly with terrorists who are in the Class A prison that he was in a few years ago, specifically plotted to blow him and the EDL up. He was locked in a room with them, with 4 of them for a few hours, who really, really badly beat him up, who tried to kill him, who he's been in a situation where he walked into a room and some Somali Muslim man had thrown boiling water with sugar in it in his direction, which is called napalm. It melts all your skin off. He's had so many attacks and so many close calls, been in hospitals countless times, stitched up, sabotaged, so many different things. There's pictures of it that's basically the brief history of just skimming over what he's been through throughout UK prisons. And it stopped in 2014 when he got a bit of a bigger profile again. He started going on the internet. They seemed to kind of back down, and now it's just all going. It seems like it's all going through that process again. And he just got out of it last time, just by the skin of his teeth, and now, it's looking at the worst again. So that's what happened.
It just shows how far we've fallen, and he is such a champion for the family, regardless of all the incredible lawyer bills you've got. I know you guys have got new lawyers, and you guys have been trying to get him out. It's a big national issue. They've obviously made the decision just to kill him, hopefully thinking that'll make it go away. The tyrants are so insane, just like Hitler bombing London turned the Brits from being against war for war. These tyrants have a real blind spot to this. Kaylin, I know that the bills have been mounting. I know the legal defense has been insane. The family is basically cut off. How do people support Tommy? There's a lot of websites, a lot of groups out there claiming that they're actually getting donations, but I've talked to folks that they're not really doing that. How do people donate directly to Tommy, this champion, and his family, and to your film crew that's continuing on, that's so critical for his voice? They're trying to cut off right now, banning his videos, saying, I won't be here much longer.
Yep, so all funds going to the Legal Defense Fund right now, which we've just appointed a new legal team, which are going in, guns blazing, doing everything they can, pulling all the strings they can to speed the process up, especially what's happened in the last 48 hours. The costs are, as you can imagine, astronomical. But if you go to tommyrobinson.online/support or just tommyrobinson.online, then you can contribute and help to that in any way.
And again, that's tommyrobinson.online.
That's it.
Okay, Kaylin, again, we give Tommy a lot of praise, his family a lot of praise, but you've been there in the trenches, and I just want to recognize there's an Islamic globalist invasion of Europe. They admit it. They're banning police. All right, folks, there's about 3-4 minutes left of this. We're going to come back in the final segment with this. I do not even feel up to the challenge right now with listeners to even give this the due it deserves. I mean, Robinson, the political prisoner, the hell he's been through, the fact he's been vindicated in quadruplicate. If you wrote a book about something this amazing, no one would believe it. But we're living it. That's why they've said, since the time of the Romans, truth is stranger than fiction. And again, I'm not against Muslims. I was against the illegal wars to topple non-radical Muslims and put bad Muslims in. But the radical Islamicist system is being used after they weaken the West, turn us into politically correct, limp wrist, to then bring in Islam to dominate us. And George Soros and all these monsters count on us not realizing how ruthless they are, so we go along with them. But we're waking up, and that's the exciting thing. But, man, Tommy has been transferred. He's been told they're going to kill him. They've tried to kill him before. The government knows what they're doing with plenty of room everywhere at minimum security prisons everywhere else for a political dissident. They're sending them there saying, oh, you're going to protest? You're going to stand up? We're going to send you to our precious little Muslims to let them tear you apart. Can you imagine he'll die alone with those Muslims smiling and stabbing and kicking and jihading? But you know what? He'll die in our hearts if they kill him. Seriously, I think there's a 50-50 chance he's dead this week. They took down his video on YouTube, so he won't have his last message. They're preparing to execute Tommy Robinson right now. Tommy Robinson's being marched up to be hung, but it won't be a quick snap of the neck, man. They're going to let those Islamicists, they might let him rape him like they did Gaddafi. I'm serious what they do. I mean, they might have 100 Muslims raping. That's what they do. So we'll be back. My God, I'm sure the jail guards will sit there and celebrate as well. They'll probably piss all over his grave. Scum of the earth, though. Out of this, the phoenix will rise, trash. I'm sitting here trying to think of words to describe just how historical a moment we're in. You've got Tommy Robinson, a human, a real person, not a Netflix show, not Hanna-Barbera, not a cartoon, a real guy with a couple children, a great wife, who have fatwas or Islamic contracts out on to kill him. And you've got the socialist globalist financing the worst elements of Islam to invade Europe and to overthrow every other Islamic regime that's not radical, involved in such evil. And then Tommy, 11 years ago, first exposing Islamic rape gangs, which has all been confirmed. And then he goes and he simply points out there's a trial happening, which even when under their draconian law is legal, and he's put in jail for 13 months, and they put him in a medium security with, a couple percentage Muslim. Now they've shipped him. They don't want me to say the name of the prison, but Tommy wanted the name, said it's Lester. And he got there and they said, you're a dead man. And what hurt Tommy is that the guards told him. They didn't just tell him people don't like you. They laughed and they said, good luck staying alive in here. When they put him in that jail cell, they said, hope you've enjoyed your life, and slammed that jail door. And he said, why do you hate me so much? Because they're servants of evil. They have to hate you because they feel bad about who they are. So they get into the evil they're doing. They have fun doing it. They might as well. It's like the sick Japanese saying, if you're going to get raped, might as well enjoy it. Well, they're going to be evil and serve evil. They might as well just do it and enjoy it. They hate you because you're strong. You're the opposite of them, Tommy. So there's Tommy in that prison. He gets a phone call every 2 days for a minute to his family, 3 minutes to his lawyers. And they chanted when he got there yesterday, we're going to kill you. We don't even know where he is the last 5-6 hours. He got that 1 minute call out saying, I don't care what they say. They're beating on the door saying they're going to kill me. They're telling me I'm dead. The guards are telling me I'm dead. They're telling me I'm going to get it for what I've done outside. They're mad about the demonstrations. They're mad. He was supposed to roll over, grovel, say, I'll do whatever you want. Just keep me in a non-Muslim prison. But a month later, he doesn't do that. They're not going to let him out in 13 months as a hero. They're going to kill him. They're going to put him in solitary like they did. They're going to torture him. They think they're going to break his will, just like they put America and the UK under deindustrialization, just like they've shut us down, just like they've broken up our families. They're going to teach us their power. They're going to break us, they think. But can you imagine him? He's right in the main central prison, not even a wing, because they've got some segregated areas. 71% Muslim. They've got a non-Muslim wing. I've got all the facts. I'm not supposed to give them to you, because later they flipped out and don't want me to tell you. Got a whole pad full of notes here. And Tommy's lawyer said, you don't do this, you're never going to get out. And he said, well, what do you mean never get out? I'm already been sent here. So his lawyers and people are telling him, don't have demonstrations, stop, don't criticize the government, go away, we'll protect you. And from their perspective, that's right. Go along, hell, say you love Islam, join Islam, Tommy, you'll be fine. We'll put you on the news. Maybe Sadiq Khan will hire you. But see, Tommy is on a mission. He's not trying to win himself, he's trying to win for the future of humanity. He's a leader. So he hadn't shut up. So they go, okay, we'll send you to Leicester, the most Islamic high-security prison in England, where dozens of people last year and this year who weren't Muslim were stabbed to death and beaten to death and strangled. They cut your nose off and your balls off in Leicester. So they've sent him not to get a quick hanging by the neck if he was a child molester or a killer, quick, non-cruel punishment. Sure, get him out of here. He's being sent as a champion in there, and I can just see Tommy, because he's got to go out to lunch everywhere. Doors open. Nobody's heard from him in 6 hours. He's got to walk out with all those people chanting they're going to kill him. The guards are going to turn that blind down. I got a feeling we hear it. He's probably already been put in the hospital. He's been put in the infirmary before, 3 times for what he stood up for. He might be dead right now, folks. Because a couple hours ago, they just took his YouTube off where he said, I may not be here much longer. He doesn't even get what a child molester or murderer gets their final words at the electric chair or lethal injection. Where are all the liberal lawyers for him? No, the media says, oh, he deserves it. He covered a child grooming trial. A whole media designed to protect pedophilia. Never heard of a movie like that, did you? Where somebody exposes something, 11 years later, they're proven totally right, and so they get to go be there, and I guarantee he's going to go down swinging to the end as they pull those shanks out and Allah Akbar, ram those things into him, and he'll finally get peace. And he'll bleed out on the ground, and the left will have their victory and say, well, Tommy Robinson got killed. We're not going to say by who, just like in Sweden and Germany, they cover up the Islamic attacks and the bombings and the truck attacks. It's never Islamic. It's always a German man did this, a German man did that. So you're now secretly jailed in Britain. You're now disappeared into a black hole. You're now dehumanized, and then you're sent openly because you don't tell your supporters of free speech to stand down, you're sent to a executioner's dock. But the cowardly socialist and globalists don't do it themselves. They don't put the black hood on and do it themselves. They have somebody else do it, don't they? But they're already slowly killing Europe and everybody else and Christianity and free speech anyways. So why not? They're about to make Tommy Robinson not just a hero, but a legend. I think, unless you pray, unless there's calls made, I think he'll be dead in the next few days. The left only thinks one-dimensionally. They have no idea. Just like Christ was hung on the cross or the Alamo. Travis knew they were all about to die, but he said victory or death. He got the bigger picture. He got destiny. And Tommy Robinson is now destiny. Let's finish up the exclusive interview. It's all going up to Infowars.com and Newswars.com right now. Spread it viral. Don't let them stop it. Put it on your own channel. Re-upload it, whatever. Here's Tommy Robinson that they don't want you to hear from. Here is him talking to his spokesperson. Tommy, a lot of praise, his family, a lot of praise, but you've been there in the trenches, and I just want to recognize there's an Islamic globalist invasion of Europe. They admit it. They're banning police even reporting the rapes in Europe. Everybody knows what's happening, and you guys are the tip of the spear. Our hopes and our prayers are with you, but do you agree with me that we should all say a prayer for Tommy?
Oh, absolutely. He would say the same thing, but right now it seems like, and it feels like it's the only thing we can do.
Let me just ask this final thing. I know you got to go. What did Tommy say why he thinks they're doing this? Because what tens of thousands are demonstrating, it's getting bigger. They think just snuff him out now, and that'll make the demonstrations go away. That won't make them go away. That'll make them even more out of control. They'll demand that the prime minister resign. They'll demand the Islamic, federal police head resign. They're going to demand. I mean, why are tyrants so arrogant? This blind spot.
Well, he said this throughout his, at least for the last 3 years, he's been constantly saying that this is because that they want to get rid of the opponent, because they want to get rid of the most dangerous person in Britain, because they want to get rid of a person who can, at the click of his fingers, galvanize tens of thousands of people on the street. There's no politician in Britain who can actually do that. Even the Prime Minister couldn't do something like that at an event. And it's really, really, really powerful and really scary for them. He's openly said that. He said that to me. And specifically on this case, what he said today was that he thinks this is a stitch-up. We asked him why they're doing it. Why would they move you to a different prison? What's the point? And he said it's a stitch-up. That's what he said. So it's all
and in British parlance or London talk, a stitch-up means a frame-up, a set-up.
Yeah, that's what it means.
And you told me earlier a few other things, so I'm just going to say them. Tommy believes they're sending him there to be killed. He's going to be basically extrajudicially executed, like they used to do in the Tower, cutting your head off without even having an order. He's being sent to the gallows. Ladies and gentlemen, at 5 o'clock, he's being taken to the gallows pole. The times and the sands of times for Tommy Robinson are running low. This is not a joke. It's not a drill. But think of the women raped every day and killed, the people stabbed to death, the acid attacks. This is part of the globalist attack on the West. It's part of their ruthless takeover. TommyRobinson.online. Everybody should donate there right now. We're going to post this video to Infowars.com, to Newswars.com as quick as we can. Again, this is taped. This is just so insane. I don't even know what to say. Thank you, Kaylin Robertson. Please try to join us again tomorrow as this unfolds. Please, as soon as you get authorization, I know you got to get off and talk to the lawyers and people, find out where all this is going. But thank you for speaking to us, sir.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for getting out the word that Tommy wanted everyone to know.
Are you kidding? We're all in this together. My God, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Okay, I'm going to end the taping right here, and I'm going to say bye to you, Kaylin. Folks, I don't even know when this is airing during the show. The full unedited interview is now on Infowars.com and Newswars.com. Tommy is counting on you to get it out everywhere. Copy it to your own sites, whatever. Just get it out there. It's on Infowars.com, Newswars.com. A political prisoner put in general population in a high-security Muslim prison to be killed with the jail guards laughing at him because he didn't back down. This guy is a hero. He is the model of the future. He is victim.
Terrible things are underway in the UK. So, Tommy Robinson was talking about Pakistani child pedophile rape and torture gangs, which had been allowed to operate with impunity, if not downright protection, by the police in the United Kingdom for decades. Decades. These immigrant monsters had their way with white British children, would be considered a catastrophic hate crime by any other group, and Tommy was trying to talk about it and bring exposure to what was going on in this situation. He was trying to do the job that the mainstream media has not been doing. Mainstream media and the UK police and the UK political system has a long and tragic history of covering up for pedophilia for reasons that are probably outside the scope of this little conversation. But Tommy was trying to bring attention to that, and he was reporting on these trials, and then he was yanked off the streets recently and thrown into prison for 15 months because there was perceived to be a violation of his parole conditions. But I think everybody knows what's really going on, which is that what he talks about is inconvenient to the powers that be in the UK and what they wish to do to the population. And the white working class population has been unceremoniously shoved out of their own neighborhoods, has been suppressed, their economic opportunities have been diminished with mass immigration and the predation on their children by these horrible gangs that have been operating in many, many cities and towns throughout the United Kingdom. And so Tommy brought a voice to people whose silence is necessary for the wholesale transformation, if not destruction, of British culture, and that can't be allowed. And so the state, I believe, and I think a lot of people believe as well, was no longer looking to solve a crime, but looking to solve a problem called Tommy Robinson. And through that process of trying to solve the problem, they were willing to, you know what they say, if a cop follows you for long enough, sooner or later, he's going to catch you doing something in your car, like going 2 kilometers over the speed limit, or parallel parking too far away from the curb, or not coming to a complete stop. And if the state has it in for you, that is the general fear. If the state likes you, if the state wishes to protect you, then it seems in the UK you can rape little white girls by the tens of thousands with impunity, if not downright police protection. But if the police want to get you, if the state wants to get you, then they will follow you until they can. It is no longer the rule of law and has not been for some time. So according to Tommy's right-hand man, Caelan Robinson, Tommy Robinson was transferred just recently from a prison with a very small Muslim population to a prison with a much larger Muslim population, according to Caelan, and I quote, filled with people who don't like him. Now, the last time Tommy was in prison, there was reportedly a hit put out on him, and he was people tried to attack him, to assault him, to take him out, and he had to fight back. So given this situation, and given what he's been reporting on, and given the population of Muslims in the prison he's been transferred to, of course it would be perfectly rational and sensible, if you had the goal of not inflicting a death penalty on his reporting, to keep him in isolation, to keep him segregated from the general population. If you throw him into general population, it's like throwing a baby into blood-maddened shark water, and, well, it's not that complicated to figure out what's going to happen next. So to move him to a prison with a much higher Muslim population, and then to put him in general population, which has reportedly been done, is a de facto death sentence, I believe, in what he has been doing. In a few short hours in his new prison, Tommy Robinson's life has already been threatened. It's been reported that last night other inmates were screaming at Tommy all night long, banging on their cell doors, and apparently a new hit has been put out on Tommy. A price has been put on his life, which is the same thing that happened the last time he was in prison. And can you imagine being in that kind of situation, where the feral mob baying for your head, clanging and banging and screaming all night, knowing that you were going to have to join them in a dangerous and volatile and hard to protect environment in the general population? It would be a time to make peace with your imminent end. Now, YouTube has also removed a 2-minute and 26 video Tommy uploaded in March, which was titled, "I Won't Be Around Much Longer." He talked about being suspended from Twitter for posting verifiable facts about these child rape grooming gangs, and also he talked about how forces were at work to further silence him. And of course, given that it seems his martyrdom is tragically imminent, of course, the powers that be probably don't want his prediction of what is going to happen to him to be out there and in the public. Caelan Robinson has said that this is the most worried and nervous that I've ever seen from him ever. And this is terrifying and terrible stuff. This is a situation in which an inconvenient voice is being rubbed out by the powers that be, using the very criminals that he was probably criticizing to effect the hit upon him. And where is the media? Where are the reporters? Where is the mainstream? Where is the outrage from people across the pond? Where is outrage from people across Europe at what is being done to this man? Because he is standing up for the silent, for the brutalized, for the marginalized, for the oppressed, for the parents and the children of those horribly preyed upon in these pedophile, torture, rape gangs. Where is the voice? Where is the outrage? Because if you think it's Tommy Robinson and it's going to somehow be solved with his ending, you can think again, because this is a test case. This is a test case to see what they can get away with. Can they silence someone in this kind of fashion? Can they nullify any theoretical remnants of free speech with this kind of brutality, with this kind of throwing him into a shark pit and saying, well, I guess he just didn't figure out how to swim in time now, did he? Now, according to reports, Tommy has a new legal team that is working on his case, looking to secure his safety and his freedom. But this is a watershed moment, I believe, in the limits of allowable discourse in society. If you can't get angry and expose gangs that rape children, cross-racial rape of children, endless rape of little white working-class girls, if the government has a problem with somebody who is outraged and angry about that situation, then the government has a problem with all good people. And what that means is that all good people should have a problem with the government.